You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry ChillyBoy Chilson, and this is my review for Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. Before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore is a 2022 fantasy adventure film directed by David Yates. When Professor Albus Dumbledore discovers that an old friend, Grindelwald, seeks to gain control and power over the magical wizarding world, knows he is unable to stop them on his own. Thus, he recruits a lot of our old friends from the previous Fantastic Beasts films and a couple of new ones in helping him prevent Grindelwald and his ever-growing legion of followers from seizing control and ruining both the magical and muggle worlds. Returning in the starring role, we have Eddie Redmayne, as well as Jude Law and newcomer to the series, Mads Mikkelsen, starring in this latest entry in the Wizarding World. So I've never actually been a big Harry Potter fan, honestly, growing up. And it's kind of shocking because I was the ripe age. All of my classmates, all of my friends, everyone was just so into Harry Potter. I tried when I was younger and I didn't get that far into it and just fell off the bandwagon. But be watching this channel because I actually am going to be doing a Harry Potter series. I'll be reacting to all of the original Harry Potter films. This will include the rewatch of the first couple that I actually have seen with commentary over those, trying to watch them through a new open lens, and then moving along to the majority of the series that I have never seen and watching them for the first time. But as is, my knowledge of the Wizarding World comes from others that loved it. However, I actually really enjoyed Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I loved the world, I loved the creatures, the whole ordeal. And in honesty, I didn't hate Crimes of Grindelwald like so many others did. I found some stuff to really enjoy and have fun with, but ultimately it was a mess of a story that dragged that film down. Now we're back. We're focusing more on Dumbledore and Grindelwald and their non-platonic relationship, though I was hearing varying reports on the success of that. Of course, the film was clouded in controversy every step of the way. Johnny Depp was released from his role as Grindelwald due to his ongoing court drama with he and ex Amber Heard. J.K. Rowling continues to take a very hard-nosed, stubborn stance on trans people and particularly trans women and their rights amongst women. And feel as you'd like about Rowling herself, a big issue is either which way you feel on the subject, she is muddying the entire discourse and conversation with misinformation and sourcing really non-credible people. That has just been an ongoing battle with not only the trans community at large, but honestly, from within the Harry Potter fandom. So many people who loved her and love this world she created have found themselves feeling quite alienated by her behavior and discourse. And then finally, Ezra Miller, continues to be a public menace. During the pandemic, I believe 2020, they choke-slammed a fan to the ground and then laid low. They disappeared from the limelight altogether, and it more or less blew over as DC started ushering them back into the limelight for the Flash movie. However, they were at it again with a violent outburst in Hawaii that had Ezra thrown in jail. Since then, it's been reported WB is trying to move away from Miller being the starring role in the Flash series. And of course, this happened just leading up to the release of this film, also starring Ezra Miller. To say the least, a lot has happened to the Fantastic Beasts series, in addition to the fact that the second film specifically was very poorly received by critics and received a very mixed reaction for a Harry Potter film specifically from fans. Honestly, this film had pretty much everything going against it heading in, but I actually thought the trailer seemed fun. I was somewhat looking forward to the film, though very, very skeptical. And as you see here, I'm a stan of the Niffler. I have adored this little creature since that first film. He pretty much stole the whole show for me in the first film. So even though I wasn't a big Harry Potter person, here I am getting these little tiny Niffler Funko Pops, you know? But ultimately, The Secrets of Dumbledore ended up being okay for me. Quite the mixed bag overall. So let's go ahead and kick things off and talk about the positives first. Honestly, the biggest positive for me was magic itself, which shouldn't really be a big surprise because that's what this series is all about, magic. And the displays of magic are so much fun and they really bring the film to life. Specifically, I want to talk about Eulalie Hicks, who is a new character, Professor Hicks, in this film, and I loved her. I thought she was great. She really brightened up the screen every time she appeared. And I think a part of that is because she was so powerful. She was like a powerhouse wizard in the film. Every time she was around, we were getting some magical action going down, and she put it on full display. So she was just an exciting character. She was fun, a little bit cheeky, a little bit saucy, and a whole lot of fun. The different spells are a lot of fun. The magic wand fights, the head to heads that we get are a lot of fun. When we get these actual set pieces, they look great. The special effects in this film are actually really, really well done. And branching off, speaking on the visual effects, we do introduce some more beasts this time. We have our staples. My little Niffler is back with an appearance or two from the little ones. And I loved our little Niffler just as much as ever. A little grasshopper from the pocket, he's back as well. He's a delight. But we are introduced to a couple of new beasts in this film as well, including a specific animal that actually plays a huge part in the plot of the film. And I'm happy to see that because honestly, I loved the first film so much because I love animals and I loved these beasts and these animals from this magical world. So to have them more heavily integrated into the actual narrative was a definite refresher for me personally. Now, they're not on the level of the first one. And honestly, the whole series at large could use more Fantastic Beasts, including that first film. But it was nice to see a little bit more of a focus on some of the animals this go round. Jude Law was fantastic as Dumbledore, and I actually think Mads Mikkelsen was great as Grindelwald. If I'm being honest, all controversies aside, from the three actors who have portrayed Grindelwald so far, Johnny Depp has been my least favorite, just performance-wise. I thought Colin Farrell was great in the first film. Everything from the hairstyle, the whole design of Grindelwald in Crimes of Grindelwald, just it didn't work for me. Johnny Depp's performance also wasn't great. And then Mads Mikkelsen just brings this presence with him everywhere, and it pays off here. I also think Jude Law and Mads Mikkelsen have good chemistry, which is really important because I think the LGBTQ representation in the film is both better than I had anticipated and also still disappointing. It's better in the fact that it is explicit. They make it very clear it was a relationship these two men had together. They were in love with each other. They wanted to run off and be with one another. And so much of the conflict really rests on these lovers and their past together. So I was very pleased that it was very outright in that sense. However, I ultimately have come to the conclusion that maybe I just wanted an even further back prequel, like when they were actually dating and the breakup that ensued when they kind of split up and had differences of ideas. That's the story I think I would prefer because I'm just tired of being told people's sexual orientation. We're never told straight people's sexual orientation. We just see them together. We see them kissing. We see them holding hands. We see something. We see an actual visual representation of love when it comes to straight couples in every single film. And when it's an LGBTQ couple, we don't get a kiss or we don't get, any sort of physical interaction. We're just being told or we're hearing the words to let us know. And I'm just at the point where I want something more. I want actual visual representation on the screen in more substantial ways. And telling this story about these two characters was prime and perfect to do it. Otherwise, why make that amendment to your own source material if we're not really going to go for it? And so it still was disappointing, though it's not a travesty. It's not a Star Wars Rise of Skywalker onward situation. It's present, it's pertinent to the film, though I'm still just begging for more instead of settling for these crumbs that the major studios continue to send out. But the longing looks, the kind of steely stares that they give each other, the moments that Law and Mickelson share on screen, they do have an underlying chemistry that really works. And my final positive is one that I don't think anyone else is going to have. I know a lot of people complain about him. I love Newt Scamander. I really like Newt Scamander. I'm sorry. I think Eddie Redmayne is really funny and cute and adorable in the role. And I instantly identified with this character of Newt in the very first film. And he stayed that character through all three of them. He's an awkward guy who really bucks all trends of masculinity. He really bucks all types of signs of toxic masculinity. And he has this love for animals. And I love that. So I was happy he was still there and still pretty much the forefront. He is the main character once again. I like spending time with Newt. Sorry. So then, what doesn't work so well when it comes to the secrets of Dumbledore? Well, the script is the biggest issue by far. It is more streamlined in idea than Crimes of Grindelwald. We know kind of the purpose. At least starting in the second act, we get that clear purpose of, oh, he's running for office and this is his mission. Whereas beforehand, it was a little bit more vague on what was happening. And we have a clear, concise idea of what this story is. However, there's so many pacing issues in the film. We go from really fun, exciting stuff to really, really dry material that drags on and on. I felt this runtime. I'm sorry. The final act really kicks it into high gear and it gets a lot more fun. But there are stretches of this film that drag. Plot points in this film that don't really correlate, such as the number of suitcases being made. They literally make it a point of her to tell this man to make half a dozen suitcases. And then when we roll back around, they've only made 4 for a total of 5. There should have been 7. It was just a really weird oversight. But the script does a lot of these things. One instance in particular, specific instance, is the ongoing subplot between Jacob and Queenie. It didn't feel earned at all in this film specifically. I didn't like what they did with her in Crimes of Grindelwald at all. And this film just kind of confounds that. I wish they had never done that. There was no really good purpose for what they did with her character. And honestly, it's just really frustrating because I think Queenie goes on this bad arc, this terrible arc. I mean, her character has an overall arc, but it really doesn't it doesn't do anything, and it doesn't do anything good for the character. It actually made me like her less and empathize with her less. I don't know. I didn't like what they did with Queenie really in this film either. Then we have Tina, who is just thrown to the wayside. Rumor has it it's because Catherine Waterston came out and spoke out against J.K. Rowling and her words on trans rights. So apparently she got written out of the script, which, listen, that's a real shame to do that. And I'm going to stand with Catherine Waterston. So there you go. But I didn't love Tina as a character. However, after finding out why she was pretty much written out of the script, I was like, nah, we need more Tina. I also didn't care about Newt's brother. I think he's the favorite brother of people. I didn't care. And then we get to Credence and his subplot, which is terrible. I just was like, can we get Credence out of here? Like, everything to do with Credence in this film was an afterthought, honestly. And when you take this back to where the character starts in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, it sets up for this amazing character, this really intriguing arc, this dark, complex person who's been through so much. And they just really devolved it and dumbed it down to the most boring denominator. The character really doesn't feel like there's a through line of arc and a through line of growth. Instead, kind of like what happens with Queenie, it never feels earned here in this film specifically. And I think that's the case overall. A lot of what happens in this film doesn't feel earned. It feels like it comes forth because they say so, because they wrote it in a script. And without that progression, it really just rang hollow by the end. And that's where the series has gone wrong. This film and the second film, and I mean, probably the whole, what should have been just a trilogy, should have focused on Dumbledore and Grindelwald. If it were up to me, we would have started in their relationship, and as the series progressed, we would get to this war between the two of them, and that would be, the war would be obviously the big finale to the series. But instead, we focused on a completely different character and then folded their story and lore into somebody else's film series. And it's a really odd decision that now we're 3 films in, there's not a good focus to what we're watching. We have all of these subplots, and none of them really hold enough weight to warrant a full-on film series as we're getting. So overall, The Secrets of Dumbledore is definitely a step up from The Crimes of Grindelwald. I actually quite enjoyed the entirety of the third act. I thought almost all of it was fun. The ending, was a little bit more shaky, but but the entire climax set piece of the film is really a good time. And every single time Professor Hicks is throwing down with magic, I was there for it. I loved it and had a blast. Unfortunately, the screenplay is just such a jumbled mess overall that it makes for a really uneven and long viewing experience at large. So if you didn't hate Crimes of Grindelwald, I think you should definitely go check this out in theaters. Really, if you're a fan of the wizarding world by and large, if you consume all things wizarding world, then you're going to see this anyway. But I would definitely recommend checking it out on a big screen. The visuals are beautiful. The magic is awesome. And that's obviously enhanced with the theatrical experience. Otherwise, I would wait and just rent it, especially if you were really let down by Crimes of Grindelwald. This is a bit of a course correct, but it's not good enough to really set you on a path of forgiving what we've received previously. So that is my review for Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, or have you already checked it out? If you have, I want to hear your thoughts, either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.